Alright, buckle up because we've got one of the most bizarre stories on the internet right now. It's got deportations, lawsuits, random street fights, and yes, an imaginary cameo by the infamous Kim Jong Un, who might actually be the only person on earth who'd get rid of this guy in a snap. We are talking about none other than the globe-trotting IRL troll named Johnny Somali. If you haven't heard of him, you might be happier that way, but trust me, this saga is so wild that it's worth diving into just for the entertainment factor alone. So here is the rundown. Johnny Somali is a guy who travels all around the world, but not in a nice, look at these awesome monuments kind of way. He decided that the best way to get attention was to be as obnoxious as humanly possible. Pictures someone on a train screaming random insults at strangers, blasting loud sounds that annoy everybody, and acting like he owns the place. Then imagine he does this in countries where people really don't tolerate that kind of behavior. That is Johnny for you, some say. He's the most hated in real life streamer on the planet, and I'm not about to argue with them. He kicked off this little parade of chaos in Japan, where he harassed random folks minding their own business. He even shouted stuff about historical events, hoping to get a big reaction. Of course, Japan did not find that even slightly amusing, so they booted him out, and by booted, I mean the authorities literally deported him. That's when the internet collectively said, well, that was quick. But nobody realized just how determined Johnny Somali was to keep his train wreck going. Turns out, that was just his opening act. Next stop, Israel. If you were thinking he wouldn't do the same disturbing antics in a completely different part of the world, oh, you'd be so wrong. He continued to harass strangers, annoy cops, and make a big show of everything. He got arrested again, faced more anger from locals, then he was kicked out once more. It's like he's speedrunning deportations. Japan, Israel, who's next on his list? Maybe outer space, but trust me, even the astronauts on the International Space Station might throw him back to Earth. Finally, Johnny set foot in South Korea, and if you don't know, Koreans are pretty big on respecting others and minding your manners in public. That's definitely not in Johnny's dictionary. He started harassing people on buses, yelling weird stuff, and basically turned himself into public enemy number one in well record time. Local folks began tracking him down, sometimes giving him a good talking to, and other times, if rumors are true, a good smackdown. That's when word spread online that Korea might do what Japan and Israel didn't, make an example out of him so that nobody else tries this nonsense. Now, if you're thinking, why not just deport him again? Here is the kicker. South Korea decided, nah, we are holding onto his passport because we are pressing charges. They confiscated his live streaming gear too. That move basically cut off the only income he ever had, since his entire brand revolves around streaming himself being a menace on the streets. So now, he's stuck, broke, and facing a mountain of legal problems. It's like the world's slowest revenge. Meanwhile, the internet is eagerly popping popcorn, waiting to see how many years he could end up behind bars. But here's where things get extra spicy. People joke that even the legendary Kim Jong Un, yes, the leader of North Korea, would love to see Johnny gone. Obviously, that's just a silly exaggeration since Kim Jong Un has his own interests. But given how quickly North Korea responds to anyone they see as a threat, I wouldn't be surprised if, in some imaginary scenario, Kim Jong Un pressed a button and said, get rid of this guy, simply for being the most annoying creature to walk near his border. This might be the first time the entire planet unites and says, actually, that's not a terrible idea. Of course, I am totally joking, mostly. A lot of viewers have been asking, is Johnny actually going to jail? Or is he just going to get deported again? Nobody knows for sure, but from what I've seen, South Korea's legal system is building one charge after another. He's facing multiple counts of disturbing businesses, annoying people on buses, and who knows what else. Some folks think he might get close to 10 or even 20 whopping years in prison, which is absolutely mind-blowing. But hey, if you film yourself yelling at innocent bystanders in multiple countries, that's kind of on you, right? Everybody online has an opinion. Some say, lock him up forever. Others say, he's mentally unstable, he needs help. Then there are people who suggest deporting him back to the US so they can deal with him. But guess what? Even in the United States, he's burned a lot of bridges. He's tried to come back to different streaming platforms, but they all keep banning him. If you search Johnny Somali, you'll see a flood of posts with titles like Johnny Somali is finished, Johnny Somali is the worst, and so on. I think we can all agree the man has become a giant internet piñata that everyone's trying to smack. It's not just regular people who got tired of him either. Other in real life streamers who do questionable things have basically said, please do not associate us with that guy. It is hilarious to see the usual troublemakers distance themselves, saying, nope, he's on another level. Then there is the lawsuit angle. He's threatened or tried to sue people who talk about him, including me and random YouTubers who critique his actions. It is wild. Imagine harassing half the globe and then suing someone for calling you out. That's like setting your own house on fire and then blaming the fire department for water damage. Meanwhile, conspiracy theories are swirling around the internet like flies at a picnic. Some folks believe that a mysterious group in Korea is paying off local streamers to find them. Others joke that certain governments might be quietly working together to keep him out of their borders forever. There is even a crazy theory that Kim Jong Un himself is sitting in a secret bunker watching Johnny's antics and chuckling at how quickly he's destroying his own life. Of course, that's pretty silly, but it adds an extra layer of comedy to this story. And let's face it, this entire saga is so out there that who can say it is impossible? At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if we see a new headline: Johnny Somali caught trying to escape across the DMZ, or the United States rejects re-entry of the most hated IRL streamer. Everything sounds like a bad movie script that somehow ended up being real. But if you take one moral lesson from all of this, it is this: don't travel the world just to harass strangers for views. That strategy might bring you a tiny bit of quick fame, but the downfall is going to be the biggest show ever. Johnny's downfall is basically a global event now. Some people on social media say it is karma. Others say they have never felt so united in wanting someone to face real life consequences. People comment things like, finally, someone's stopping this guy, or he's the biggest menace alive. I've even seen tweets from folks who normally disagree on everything: politics, sports, food, you name it, suddenly finding common ground. They're all cheering for the same outcome: keep him locked up, or at least keeping away from any recording device for the rest of his life. Maybe that's the silver lining. Johnny Somali might just be the world's greatest unifier. Who knew? So, here is how I see this ending. Either the South Korean courts hand him a sentence so long that he forgets what a live stream even looks like, or they drag out this case until he's begging to be deported. Then, if he tries to re-enter any other country with his old habits, it'll be like watching someone poke a hornet's nest, except the hornets are entire governments waiting to pounce. In the meantime, the jokes will keep rolling in. Kim Jong Un references will keep popping up, and people will keep memeing about how even the toughest dictators wouldn't tolerate Johnny's antics for even a second. The real question is, how long until his story fades away? Will we see a final Johnny Somali found guilty headline that goes viral for the last time, or will he pull off a Houdini and vanish into thin air? We'll have to wait and see. That's the entire wacky situation. We've got a guy who seems to be disliked by every single person on the entire world. We've got multiple deportations, lawsuits, massive public anger, and a comedic side plot featuring Kim Jong Un. It is a show none of us ever expected, but can't help watching. Let's just say the morale of this story is, do not be Johnny Somali unless you want the entire earth and maybe even the world's strictest leaders to unite in telling you to get lost. And that's pretty much all we know for now. If anything wilder happens, like Johnny actually sneaking into North Korea, trust me, I'll be right here to talk about it. Until then, stay safe out there, don't harass innocent people on trains, and maybe say a little prayer that no one else tries to become the next Johnny Somali. This world doesn't need a sequel. Enjoy your one night stand. Goodbye.